Speaker design comes in many types, not just ported, closed, or open baffle. Therefore, it's time to talk about a stand mount speaker that uses the transmission line speaker design. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit. One of the things about being an audiophile is that we continue to chase hearing every single note, desiring that ultimate resolution within our budget. But during that chase, a few audiophiles, and I know of a couple, lose their love of the music. Many people point to the supposedly famous Alan Parsons quote about audiophiles listen to their equipment. Well, I'm a music lover, first and foremost. I listen just to escape and to allow my brain synapses to be lit up by the joy of notes and harmonies in instruments and vocals. Recently, I emailed Thomas Tan about his new Galion P75 preamplifier as a review item. Unfortunately, Thomas informed me that the first batch is sold out and it'll be a few months before he'll be able to get one to me. But then he said, "How would you like to get your ears on the Voyager TL, his transmission line stand mount speaker?" Now, I haven't heard a true transmission line speaker design in probably 15 years. And after a quick read up on the goals of the Voyager TL on his website, I knew this would be a speaker that I would want to listen to. The Galion website details Thomas Tan's goal of creating a very smooth speaker that can be listened to all day. Thomas wrote, "The treble of the TS Voyager TL was carefully tuned to be not harsh and not sibilant, and buttery smooth mid-range. Dr. Viet Nguyen did the initial design work, and the voicing was done by Thomas himself, with the desire to create a warmer, well-rounded, mellow presentation. Starting with the Dayton Audio 1 1/8 inch silk dome tweeter, a 5-inch paper cone driver, and most impressive Jupiter Vitamin Q capacitors in the crossover. A very nice set of 5-way binding posts complements the other quality parts. A big difference comes in the type of cabinet material. Currently, fiberboard is the material of choice in the industry, but Thomas decided that he wanted the cabinet to be a part of the reproduction. Therefore, he chose to go with birch plywood in a dark satin stain that is honestly gorgeous. One surprise is that the speaker weighs just 13.5 pounds. The internal bracing is done in such a way to achieve a curved tunnel that creates the impressive bass. The port is actually a rectangular slot across the bottom of the front face. This does allow for the Voyager TLs to be placed much closer to the front wall. But still, play around with placement until you find your best room performance. I did have the speakers pointing at the ball of my shoulder socket, some 12 inches out from the front wall. Setup is absolutely crucial with Voyager TLs. With this kind of bass, using the full port plug, a partial plug, or no plug, along with the fact that the birch plywood cabinet is designed to be an active part of the speaker's sound, you may find that your usual placement is completely off the normal positioning. Nemo Propaganda, in his very good review, describes his efforts to find happiness. I did try to power them with the SMSL A200 with the Fineon Class D chip. This little amplifier put out approximately 30 watts per channel into the Voyager's rated 8 ohms at 84 dB. But more current is definitely worthwhile. Therefore, if you're looking for the smaller size Class D amplifiers, make sure to get one with plenty of power and also to give it a serious try, and make sure that you can return it. Pairing them with their sibling TS-A75 power amplifier, which is my reference unit, was a wonderful experience. The richness of the transmission line bleed through from the deep bass into the mid bass, for lack of a better term or description, created a really soulful sound, especially with the vocals and acoustic guitars. There's something about hearing a non-auto-tuned vocal with that artist's individual characteristics being played through the speakers. While the Voyagers won't give me the detail of the Bootcart S400 Mark IIs, it's just old-fashioned, enjoyable fun listening. One quickly forgets about the missing details. Instead, you just get immersed in the performance. In many ways, it's kind of soul-touching. I found myself letting go of the analytical and just enjoying the flow of the music. Now, I'm sure that comes from the plumped-up mid-range in the mid-bass area, which gives some weight to the vocals and other instruments, as that is the true sweet spot. Listening to Elton John's classic album, Madman Across the Water, the track Holiday Inn is a great way to test the two different foam plugs for the ports that Thomas provides, or going without them in the Voyagers. With the full plug, the Voyager TLs sound like a typical two-way stand mount, although you can hear the cabinet doing what Thomas wanted it to do, which was to provide some resonance. With the half-size cap, you get a fuller presentation of the lower frequencies. Elton John's voice becomes richer. There is definite improvement. However, this is one of those songs where even in my small 11 by 10 foot room over a crawl space, going without the plugs is a sheer delight. The bass has plenty of character, the notes impactful, and there is all sorts of secondary detail. Through the Voyager TL's Ricky Lee Jones's Young Blood, the bass with the half-size plug that I settled on as my preferred choice, her vocals actually seem to hover slightly above the speakers. Upper bass is definitely a bit pronounced, but not overwhelming. Other frequencies tend to lay back behind the bass a bit. The breathiness of her vocals is not overwhelming. It's natural, but not effusive. The horns mid-song are a bit flat, but not unpleasant. The bass guitar, as expected, has very nice detail. On her track Easy Money, the string bass is a bit chubby. The closed hi-hat is laid back, definitely not sparkly or shimmery, just as Thomas Tan said that the treble would sound. The xylophone at the end of this song had a nice ring in the upper mid-registers. Ricky Lee high, loud notes in Last Chance are rounded, but there's enough there that you know she's reaching her limits, and yet you don't hear the graininess or shrill. While the deep bass drum notes in Coolsville radiates like waves. This is transmission line speaker design at its best. One last Ricky Lee Jones song from her second album, Pirates, We Belong Together. This song goes up-tempo. There's a great introduction of the drums. The kick and the punch of the toms and bass are truly visceral. It's songs like these with the Voyager TLs that make me wonder why more manufacturers of small speakers with the transmission line design. With the Voyager TLs paired up with fellow family member, the Galion TS-A75 amplifier, are a joyful match. I found that the Peachtree Audio Carina X, with its 300 watts per channel of Class D Hypex Encore power, to be equally as thrilling. Of course, it also gave me a bit more brightness in the upper frequencies due to the nature of chip amplification. For a really rich and warm body, my Vista Audio i34 integrated tube amp was all sorts of warm fun. But with the temperatures in the upper 90s during most of this review, I limited my time with that amplifier to early morning listening, even though I do have air conditioning. The acoustic guitar in Dire Straits' Private Investigations is silky smooth and rich. Knopfler's finger picks are nice and clear, as is the xylophone during the mid-song instrumental section. The stereophonic effort by the recording engineers in this track really shows off the channel separation of the Voyager TLs. The mid-bass tom strikes from the drum kit hit with a pleasant thud against the chest. The Voyager TLs also excel at up-tempo music. Any song that gets your foot tapping is their bread and butter. Toto's fourth album, with tracks like Roseanne and Waiting for Your Love, exude the happy nature with these speakers. Of course, the opening to Africa with the synthesizer notes in the mid-bass reminds me of first hearing this album. The short drum section, just before the first chorus, carries deep into the soundstage in front of the speakers. While the mid-song xylophone is a bit laid back, the overall structure of the song is recognized for being one of the most ear-pleasing of any songs of the pop era, and the Voyager TL expresses it very well. Going back to Elton John's classic Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, is sheer energetic fun with the Voyager TLs. I admit to cranking this one up while the wife was out of the house one morning. Of course, Benny and the Jets is an absolute thrill ride. The Voyager TLs get the energy, fun, and the enjoyment right in rock music. The Galion Audio Voyager TLs are a throwback in many ways in their sound signature to speakers from the late 70s and 80s. It's not about the performance of the individual notes, but the compilation of all the instruments together that makes this stand mount speaker just a whole lot of fun. Yes, I know, I've repeated that word many times, but it's true. It's a nostalgic sound in many ways. These are not speakers that you should spend your life critically listening to music with. No, they are designed just to enjoy the music. The sum of the basic sonic character of these speakers is better than the individual areas. And it reminds me of the Klipsch Heritage Forte 4s, which I reviewed some years back for my website. Therefore, if you're looking for a set of speakers for the whole family, whether it be home theater, which I did try and found quite enjoyable, or just a recreation room in general, whether it be the basement, main floor, or up over the garage in a hangout space, the Voyager TLs at $1,195 US are a great choice for sheer enjoyment. Nothing more, nothing less. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you watching my videos and making comments. And I hope you'll let others know about it as well. So until next time, let go of the doom scrolling, get away from the news, put on some music, and just sit back and enjoy. Take care, everybody.